which of these components are determined for being to pass or to fail the test? I mean, how are candidates assessed based on which of these components, or if there is anything else?
Okay.
Well, mainly, candidates are assessed on their TP, their teaching practice, and on the written assignments.
So
the teaching. Sorry.
Yeah. So TPs, the 6 hours TPs, and the full written assignments are determined, or they are the things that determine the degree. Okay.
Yeah. The teaching practice. Each time you teach, you will be given. I don't want to say a grade, but a result of the teaching practice, if you like. So you will be told that teaching practice is to standard, it's above standard, or it's below standard. So each time you teach, you will know whether you taught to standard or not, or above standard, for each of the teaching practice sessions. The assignments aren't graded in that way. The assignments are just pass or resubmit, or very, very occasionally fail, but generally pass or resubmit. Something Amanda didn't mention really when she was talking about written assignments, if I could just add it. Candidates do often need to resubmit written assignments. And again, that is not a big deal. It really isn't. We give you very clear guidelines. If you need to resubmit, we give you guidelines as to what you need to look at and what you need to alter. And generally speaking, it's not the whole of the assignment that you need to look at. It's just particular parts that you need to polish up. Sometimes it's because of language and you need to edit your own use of English. But generally, again, it's not the whole of the assignment you need to resubmit. And resubmission, if you talk to candidates about this, they will often say it's actually a learning experience to have to resubmit, because you're looking at something again, you're thinking through it again, and you're learning more. So it's not a negative thing, but resubmission does happen quite a lot.
It might be stressful at the time it happens. Because you still have TPs and lesson plans to prepare, a language and sheet, but I believe it's real experience. And it's really good point that you just mentioned, which is we give you what we're expecting exactly from you to write on this assignment. Following it point by point will help a lot passing it or without resubmission, because that was exactly my experience. I had a colleague who did his CELTA before me, and he passed the 4 assignments without resubmission. And when I asked him how did he do so, it was like, I just stick to what they say, what they need. After I finished the assignment, I checked, did I do this? Yes, tick. Did I do that? I tried the same way, worked out. So it was as simple as that.
Yeah. And that's actually very, very good advice. I mean, the instructions for the assignment are designed to be as explicit as possible and to help you to know exactly what you're going to write in the assignment. So as long as you follow those instructions carefully, then you might not, of course, you might still have a problem and have to resubmit sometimes.
Because I did get comments on my assignments,
But it's really, really important to follow the instructions. And then, of course, if you do need to resubmit, to follow the guidelines and the feedback that we give you. You know, if you don't, then of course you might then end up failing the assignment. But again, that very rarely happens, because people usually do, take on board what we've said to them.
Yeah.
Do you want to say a little bit about the assessment criteria, Amanda?
Sure. Yeah. So for both teaching practice and for the assignments, there are assessment criteria. So for each assignment, there's 3 or 4 assessment criteria, for example, that you need to meet in order to be able to pass the assignment. One of which on all 4 assignments is your ability to write accurately, coherently, and clearly. But depending on what the focus of the assignment is, of course, that the criteria change between the different assignments. With teaching practice, again, there is a list of criteria that we apply when we're observing your lessons. I've forgotten exactly how many there are now, 40 something, 42, 43, can't remember, but there's a long list. And of course, we don't assess you on every single criteria for every single lesson. To begin with, we're only focusing on some of the criteria, and then as we go through the course, we're thinking about more of them. And of course, in the final couple of lessons, we hope that you're meeting most, if not all, of those criteria in your lessons. So we always refer to the criteria so that you know which criteria we're talking about. And there's an explanation of those criteria given to you as well. So if you're not quite sure what something means, you can check it, or of course you can ask us and we'll explain it to you.
Yeah. So to wrap up this point, or to make it like clear, so you're saying that at the very beginning of the TPs, like the first 2 TPs, for example, the criteria you're following or you're checking are like a few, like 5, 10 criterion out of the 40 something. And as long as the course goes with the input and the more information you have, where you're expecting him to apply or the candidate to apply, that's why the criteria keeps increasing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes some candidates, and this is not just on an online course, it's the same, of course, for face-to-face. So I'm just saying course too many times. I don't know, I forgot what I was going to say.
It applies face-to-face and online, the same criteria.
Yeah, sometimes candidates get a little bit stressed then about, what are you assessing me on, and do I have to show all these different things? Well, yes and no. I mean, obviously, sometimes some candidates get stuck with a particular thing, like they have issues with giving instructions, for example. So that might be something that we keep mentioning in feedback. But once we feel that instructions are kind of sorted and you're fine with that, then of course we don't particularly mention it in subsequent feedback, because then we need to think about other criteria. So it sometimes feels like we keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah.
But we are moving the goalposts each time. But obviously that is important. Otherwise, you're not going to develop during the course.
Yeah, I see.